Amazon's new father-daughter drama, Don't Make Me Go, is kind of what you'd expect. That is until it becomes a case of what in the actual... When a single father discovers he has a terminal disease, he tries to cram all the years of love and support he will miss with his teenage daughter into the time he has left with her. With the promise of long-awaited driving lessons, he convinces her to accompany him on a road trip from California to New Orleans for his 20th college reunion, where he secretly hopes to reunite her with her mother who left them long ago. John Cho stars in this as Max, along with relative newcomer Mia Isaac as Wally. Now, the two have a pretty tumultuous relationship, but one that seems right on par with the parent of an under-15 teenager. This starts off in a pretty surprising way, and then backtracks a few weeks for us to get the full context of how we end up where the movie starts. Now, the acting is great. John Cho is terrific as always, playing a dad with this huge heart, but one that is apprehensive about the future. He's doing the best he knows how to, and the conversations and situations, now as aggravating as they can be, they really have a ring of truth to them. Once he discovers he has a terminal illness, new priorities are established in Max's life, leading them to go on this road trip. Now this then leads to one of the funniest and most real situations I've seen in a long time in a piece of entertainment. I mean, as part of the deal for Wally to go along on the road trip and have a somewhat decent attitude while traveling, Max agrees to teach her to drive on their way. If you've ever taught somebody how to drive, this stings of truth. I remember some very similar situations while our boys were learning to drive. It involved a lot of me stressed and then tersely saying, "Speed up," immediately following by, "No, slow down." It's nerve-wracking and a bit embarrassing, but also reassuring to know that at least one other person experienced something like this in order to put it in writing for the script. The situations are stressful, but very resonant. But through these, we also get to see some good growth as well, from both of our characters. Max starts off as fairly high-strung, certainly protective, and sometimes more reactive and less conversational than he'd like to be. And this then leads to misunderstandings and hurt feelings, and of course, more teenage drama. Wally is also high-strung, but in the I know everything and I don't need to be told anything mindset that some teenagers have. She's impulsive, doesn't make the smartest of decisions, but also doesn't come across as a flat-out rebellious person either. I mean, she's testing her limits and her boundaries and just really trying to discover herself. I love how small conversations arise between the two amidst all sorts of drama. The conversations, much like the driving situations, have a huge ring of truth to them. They feel genuine in their execution, even with the characters contemplating their last words, knowing that things could have been handled differently and better. As they go along, we get a killer soundtrack for traveling music. Now, I wasn't familiar with everything, but I certainly was digging what was being played. And landscapes are great to look at, and I really enjoyed some of the title treatments that appear on the screen as our duo is traveling from California to New Orleans. Now, there's this point where they're driving through Texas, and on the second day, we see these on-screen titles that say, "Still Texas." So if you've ever had to drive through that massive state, again, something that holds very true to real life. Now, a lot of the situations, while they feel genuine, are also very predictable. And I'm not sure that's a bad thing, but it is noticeable when we can predict pretty much the entire arc of the film. And because we're told of Max's illness, there's a somber tone across the entire story, one that we know may not end in smiles. But that's where the film also gut punches us and takes the story in a direction and in a way that I wasn't expecting. I'm not sure I like either. I was prepared for some of the sadness and the drama, but not necessarily the abruptness that the story holds. There's a hopeful tone that the narrative tries to establish, but I think it's overshadowed by the emotion that we feel. And I'm not saying that the emotion that is created is bad, but I wasn't ready for it, so when it caught me off guard like it did, it left me with this conflicted feeling. And I'm very curious at how this is going to be received. I mean, not for how the story plays out over the hour and 50 minutes, but how it leaves us. I mean, I can see it being polarizing, with some appreciating the unexpectedness and then others feeling a bit duped. And no matter how you feel at the finale, the accurate insight into raising a teenager and all the love, frustration, fear, and hope that accompanies that relationship leading up to this point is wonderful to watch between Cho and Isaac. I mean, they convincingly capture the relationship and then bring it to life, even if it is uncomfortable to watch at times. So overall, Don't Make Me Go is a wonderfully acted and authentic depiction of a parent and teenager relationship. The hurts and joys translate well through the screen, making for some dynamic conversations and interactions. The arcs are predictable, but I don't think that detracts from the storytelling. What could be the biggest detractor is how the story chooses to resolve, leaving me in a conflicted state of emotion. I know what it was accomplishing, but I'm not sure it's the ending of the story that I wanted. There's sex, nudity, a lot of profanity, and a little bit of violence. I give Don't Make Me Go 3.5 out of 5 couches. So what's a good relationship drama you can recommend? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.